Captain here for a very special event. We're having a huge big blog hop at a blog named Hero to celebrate our 5th anniversary, and we were asked to make a card using our favourite Hero Arts products. So I didn't even have to blink to figure out which stamp I was going to use. This is by far my favourite Hero Arts product of all time. The tragedy is it's discontinued. It's called the Flower Dot Pattern Background Stamp, and I've had it for quite a few years, and I know that there are some people out there that covet it, but seriously, nobody's going to get this stamp out of my hands. I love it too much. So what I'm doing here is I am inking it up with some Versamark, and I'm going to white emboss those lines using some Hero Arts white embossing powder. The reason I did this video, I haven't actually done any videos for quite a while, so I apologise if you've been hanging out to see a video on my YouTube channel. I had some issues with my phone and hooking up to the internet and all sorts of things. So yeah, the last few videos I made just never made it to YouTube or to my blog. Hopefully this one will. But I've had comments on my Instagram page and also on my blog about how I do this kind of background. It has to be my favourite technique at the moment. Basically getting a background stamp, white embossing it, adding some colour with my Zig Clean Colour Real brush markers, and then just dousing it with water. And so I thought I would actually make a video to show you exactly how I do it. Now, I'm using this colour scheme. My other card, as you might have seen on my blog today, has a rainbow, which is one of my favourite colour schemes, but this would have to be my other favourite colour scheme, is blues and greens. So I'm using 3 of the Zig markers. The colours that I used were blue, which is the dark blue that I'm here, and this one's called Persian blue. And then the greeny one is called turquoise green. So you can see I haven't really paid much attention to where I'm putting it, just scribbled straight across the middle. And then I've just taken a little bottle of just water from the tap, nothing special, and just sprayed the living daylights out of it. And at this point it looks like a hot mess, but I usually get a paintbrush and just spread the colour a bit. Now it's nothing special here. I'm just trying to fill in the white spaces, that's all. Sometimes I sort of brush my paintbrush off on a bit of cloth that I've got off to the side, just so I don't sort of muddy the colour too much. And then I just blast it with my heat gun. Now you'll see that the colours soften off a lot as you dry. You can see that. So I'm adding some more. So I usually do 2, sometimes I even do 3 layers of this, but this time you can see I'm being a little bit more particular. I'm basically following where those colours went with the first blast of water and intensifying them in those particular areas. So again, not taking too much care with it, blasting with water again. At this point, I go, oh my God, look at that colour, isn't it beautiful? This is the point where I go, oh my God, I love this stamp so much. Hello, beautiful. And this was the point in time when I actually decided what sentiment I was going to use on this card. My other card used a sentiment that basically shares my feelings about my teammates and the alumni at a blog named Hero. But this sentiment that I'm going to use on this card shares my feelings about this stamp, basically. Hello, beautiful. Anyway, sometimes when I do a background like this, I use the whole panel on a card, but at heart, I'm a clean and simple girl. I like my white space. So I decided to cut it down. And the good thing about that is I can get 2 cards out of it. Hooray! So I decided to cut it down into just a rectangle, but just to give a little bit of interest to this panel, I decided to cut it in the middle on an angle, and that's where my sentiment is going to go. So excuse me. At this point, I'm just sort of figuring out where I want the sentiment to go. Then I'm just going to cut the panel again in the middle so that I can mount it with a little bit of space. Now, at this point, my card making skills were not in evidence whatsoever. I got this blue card, and please don't ask me where I got this blue card from. This is a colour that my workmates call Michelle Blue, because I wear this colour, this royal blue colour, almost every day. But this particular bit of cardstock I've been kind of hoarding, so you can see I'm only taking tiny little strips of it. But you'll notice that I didn't actually show the bit where I cut the little angle on the end of the strips of blue cardstock so that it would match up with the background. I could have just stuck the background onto the blue cardstock and cut it off at an angle altogether, but that would have been using way too much of this beautiful blue cardstock, so I decided to do little strips. So I actually did cut them off at an angle to match the angle that I'd cut the patterned piece, but I didn't show that in the video because it was not an ideal technique, let's put it that way. I don't want to embarrass myself too much, but oh my god, what an idiot I felt. Anyway, a bit I'd missed to tell you about is that the sentiment I actually stamped with some Altenew inks. I've actually got a set of 4 of their blue inks. This particular one that I used is called Sapphire, so it matches the dark blue colour really, really well. So I just cut off the ends of that, did pretty much the same thing on the bottom. Now you might think, why on earth is Michelle sticking this down without using a ruler to line it up? Where the hell is your T-square ruler? My T-square ruler is holding up my iPhone that is videoing me right now, and it's being held in place. My T-square ruler is being held in place by 2 other rulers, one underneath and one over the top, to hold it in the right spot to balance my iPhone on top, which means out of the 3 rulers that I have on my desk, all 3 of them were being used to hold up my phone at this point in time. So I just had to eyeball it. Honestly, I should have really got out some grid paper and lined it up on the grid paper, but I didn't. No excuse. Anyway, you can see I've just removed a little bit of that blue cardstock. Came off when I was cutting off the panel flush with the edge of the card, but hey, I just stuck it back on, no biggie. Now at this point I could have finished, but seriously, it's not finished unless you have a little bit of glimmer or a little bit of shine, something like that. So I pulled out some sequins from Pretty Pink Posh and added them on. I'm not going to bore you with the amount of time that I took to place these sequins. It always takes me way too long. Anyway, I'm hoping you enjoyed this video and showing you how I do this technique. But I also hope that you follow along with our blog hop at A Blog Named Hero. We have so many special guests and so many prizes you would not believe. So make sure you go and visit. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.